Hi, I'm Dave Stewart, and you're watching Noise 11.
Welcome to Noise11.com. It's great to have Dave Stewart back in the country. It's been a while since you've been down under, Dave.
Yeah, it was about 10 years, maybe 11 years.
Was that the Peace Tour?
Yeah, was that 2009?
Or 1999?
Oh yeah, 1999, yeah.
Fair.
Was it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was actually quite a successful reunion. Have you talked to Annie about
it wasn't
doing
really
another one?
It wasn't a reunion. It was, we decided to do a tour for Amnesty and Greenpeace, and we gave all the proceeds to Amnesty and Greenpeace from our ticket sales, our merchandise, and our DVD and everything, which is quite unusual, really. And they could then enlist people at our concerts and all that kind of stuff. So it was really quite sort of a meaningful, moment to release an album called Peace, and then do a whole year of working with Greenpeace and Amnesty, and it was really brilliant for all concerned, I think.
What would it take to get you and Annie back together again?
Well, it would take just Annie and I deciding we wanted to do something together, See, there's so many bands that have stayed together all the way through their career and are still playing live right now, and when you're a duo, and we were so intense, because we made 10 albums in 10 years or something, toured constantly, but before that we'd lived together for 4 or 5 years as a couple, didn't write any songs as a couple, broke up and wrote like 150 songs about it, then toured for that amount of time. Then we decided to have a break because life, children, marriages, all sorts of stuff. And then after about that, I think it was about a 9-year break, we did the Peace Tour. So judging on our past history, it's probably like every 10 years, isn't it?
So about due now then.
Well, I'm a bit busy at the moment. But Annie and I talk all the time, when I'm in London, we go out to dinner together. We never talk about... People think, if you're in a band or you're in a duo, that you just constantly talk about that. But, like for instance, I work all the time with Mick, Mick Jagger, who's in Super Heavy, and you're going to be sitting talking all the time about the Rolling Stones. You know what I mean? It's Annie and I don't talk about Eurythmics. We never even mention it, We talk about our children and what's happening in our lives and all that stuff. And I think that's the best way to be, really.
Well, that work with Mick and Super Heavy, which we can talk a bit about, you go back to about 1987, the Primitive Cool album. Was that when you first started working with Mick Jagger?
A bit before that, actually. We, you see, the thing is, again, with musicians and, artists in general, you see, people hear things come out and they think, oh, that's when they actually started. But Mick and I have written like tons and tons of songs for fun that are for no reason, so you don't hear them. Just we hear them. So then you'd hear a blip of something that does come out. But before that, we did actually a sort of soundtrack song for a film called Ruthless People, and but we've done lots of stuff over the years,
And Super Heavy, the most recent collaboration with Mick, and a fascinating mix of different flavours, musical styles, personalities in that band.
Yeah. That was on purpose, was to make a kind of a montage of cultures and music culture, and it's like a huge experimental thing where we wanted to make music that sounded sort of tough and sort of bluesy, but with Jamaican rhythms and Asian sort of influences, as opposed to what a lot of people describe as world music, which sounds a little bit more sort of like chill music. We don't want to make chill music, we want to make some kind of tough sounding music.
Reviewers had a hard time fathoming what that album was all about.
In Australia, yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Not really, yeah. Well, what let's talk about this. So, certain reviewers did. See, when you do something like that, there's usually two reactions. One is they don't listen to it. You just think, oh, that's a preposterous idea. There's the English journalism that'll go, Mick's got a pink suit on. And then there's people who are really into music, like, Rolling Stone, or, French, their kind of Rock and Folk, which is their big music magazine. And all these people, they didn't have trouble at all. They just gave us great reviews, and actually, in places like France, Italy, Germany, Japan, everywhere, it was, straight in top 5, and in the charts. And then it's up to the people. And now you see people, once they've consumed it, they start to listen to it by word of mouth, that it's passing all over the world. Hey, you should check out this album by Super Heavy.
Yeah.
But, what is that? Is that rain?
That's the rain, yes.
Is it really?
We've just got our cool change through. Goodbye 33 degrees.
Oh, right. Does that happen, like, it gets boiling hot and then does that?
Well, it does ever since global warming came into existence.
Yeah, right. So, but actually, what was really weird for us was Australia was the worst country in the world for us for Super Heavy. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
you wouldn't think it, because it's very sort of culturally mixed here.
I guess it's an album you have to listen to a few times. You can't just listen to it the once, isn't it? Because those flavours just pop.
I don't know.
With familiarity.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, not only that album this year, you have been very busy in the recording studio.
I have released 6-7 albums this year or something like that.
Wow. Well, let's talk about Blackbird Diaries, which is a fascinating record. Like, is this the Dave Stewart record of the year, though?
Well, it was really funny because it came out in a roundabout way. It's one of these things where I was just in London, stuck in a sort of, a volcanic ash cloud had blocked all the flights. It was quite a famous sort of thing that happened about a year and a half ago. And I'll give you $50 if you can pronounce the name of the volcano.
Oh, no.
It's got it's got 26 letters in it.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But, so I bought a guitar, and it happened to be a guitar owned by a country and western singer called Red River Dave, a very eccentric guy, in 25, 30 years ago. And I started playing it, and I was just messing about playing country blues. And then the phone rang, and somebody said, will you go and meet Martina McBride in Nashville? And John McBride. I thought, that's pretty weird. I've just got this guitar, owned by a legendary country singer. Now I'm flying to meet a legendary country singer. And I got to Nashville, and in this studio called the Blackbird Studios, I just fell in love with it. And I said, I'm coming back here to make a record. And I think they thought I was joking, or they thought maybe it's in 6 months, and I was back in a few days, going, here I am, let's go.
And the whole album took 5 days to record?
Yeah, made the whole album in 5 days. That was writing and recording the song.
Being Dave Stewart, I guess, and having a very good Teledex phone book, the guests that appear on this record, from Stevie Nicks, Bob Dylan, Secret Sisters. Is this Dave Stewart just making a few phone calls and getting the mates in?
No, I'd already been making Stevie Nicks' album and co-writing that, so obviously in the middle of recording Stevie Nicks' album is when I went to make my album, so we talked all the time. Bob Dylan I've been friends with and sort of done all sorts of things with since about 1984, making videos, shooting little films. The Wilburys that kind of formed in my house and recorded in my house. And the Secret Sisters, they were friends of John McBride, who'd helped record their album, and they were in the studio. When I went in the studio in Nashville, people were so curious. People would come by, like Lady Antebellum or the Secret Sisters or whatever, to see what was going on, and it just turned into this 5-day kind of odyssey, And Colby Calais, I wrote a song with her, and that is on the album too. But there's 3 duets, I think, and about 10 songs, just straightforward storytelling of mine.
I think it was you who described it as Dylan meets Cohen meets Petty meets Reed meets Cash.
I didn't say that, but whoever did,
Someone
I'm going to send
did.
them
What do you think of the
vodka martini.
What do you think of that then?
Well, sound-wise, I suppose it wanders through all of those things, and it's very sort of storytelling lyrically about my own personal life, so probably it's those elements that give it that sort of feeling.
Yeah, and there are sounds on there that sort of date back to the Eurythmics days. I mean, you might hear a little bit of what could have been a Sweet Dreams type sound. Did you go and listen back to old records, or
no?
Is that just something inbuilt into your DNA?
No, there's nothing electronic or Eurythmics-y in that way, but melodically, obviously, because that's part of my DNA, as you say. But it was all, played live in a room like this, and I would sing live with the band playing pedal steel, drums, bass, guitar, piano, and very traditional in a way.
Yeah, and putting together the companion movie for the record as well.
Yeah, we're busy editing the movie, and since then I went back to Nashville and made Joss Stone's new album, and then I went back and made another album for myself called The Ringmaster General, and then I went there and made the first half of Orianti's new album, which we're finishing next year, and so I've been back and forth to Nashville about 10 times this year.
You've done some amazing things with technology over the years too. When did you start to get into technology and basically become a bit of an entrepreneur?
Well, when I realised, when Apple brought out its first computers, and I realised, well, even before that, when the first drum computer came out, or the first sort of real sequencer that you could create stuff like Sweet Dreams, I realised it was going to be a huge influence on music, and I wanted to understand it and use it when it was, interesting in the sound. But I never got sort of completely married to it so that it dominated my life. But when the internet sort of really broke open, I think about 12 years ago, I did a speech to, Quincy Jones and Dr. Dre and Stevie Wonder and all these huge amount of people around a table in a bank, and explained it was the end of the world as we know it. And that's all in a book I wrote called The Business Playground, which came out last year.
Yeah, there was the hospital.
The hospital is a place that I wanted to create a place where different creatives could meet, and it was based on actually Mahler's wife in Vienna used to host these dinners and invite like an architect, a painter, a musician, and the face of Vienna kind of changed. And so from that little seed of an idea, Paul Allen got very interested in it, and then I showed him this hospital that was in Covent Garden that had been empty for 10 years, and it's now a very sort of thriving creative community there. It's where Radiohead made In Rainbows, their album, and filmed it, and loads of things happen there. And
one of the things you're working on at the moment is Ghost the Musical. We will be seeing the premiere of that coming up in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, well, we opened in England in March, and it's been a huge success. It's in the West End, and it's going to be in the West End, and then it's also going to be on in Broadway in March 2012. But yesterday, myself and the Minister of Tourism announced that Melbourne is going to have Ghost the Musical opening in 2013. And it's been amazingly well received, and hopefully it will be in Australia too.
Have you written new music for this?
Oh yeah, it's all new music. Yeah, it's all completely a musical. So 16 new songs or whatever.
So we will be seeing Dave Stewart at least back in Australia for 2013, because obviously you'll be down for the premiere.
Well, I'll be back before that, so I'm going to play live here again, and I'm probably going to come back with Joss Stone and play live, and have fun basically.
Well, it's a fascinating story. It's great to catch up and hear just a slight fraction of the life of Dave Stewart. Thank you for joining us here at Noise 11.
All right, cheers.